Good afternoon. My name is Myra Hippolyte, and I work with the City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods. We want to welcome you to the Bandit Sign Volunteer Training Program. On behalf of Director Takasha Francis, Assistant Director Herbert Sims, Assistant Director Reggie Harris, and Division Manager Paul Green, we want to welcome you to the Department of Neighborhoods Bandit Sign Volunteer Training Program. You should have a couple handouts with you. You should have the State of Texas Transportation Code 393 and Texas Penal Code discussing trespassing, theft, criminal mischief, and assault, and the Houston Municipal Code Section 28 through 38 that will discuss signs as well as the bandit signs. And you should also have the bandit sign documentation report. Goals. Our goals is to improve not only this aesthetics of a neighborhood, but also to have the community take a more of an active role in the removal of bandit signs in their neighborhoods. We'd also like to transform blighted neighborhoods more strategically through many different efforts, starting with the confiscation of illegally placed bandit signs by using bandit sign volunteers. We'd also like to educate, train, and deputize volunteers for council districts or in unincorporated areas of Harris County to be authorized to remove bandit signs. There are a couple of requirements. First of all, the first requirement is you have to be 18 years of age, be a United States citizen, successfully complete a bandit sign volunteer training workshop as you're doing today, commit to always carry yourself in a professional and courteous manner, respect the public we serve, and never threaten a citizen. We'd also like to adhere to program policies and procedures and ensure you protect the program's continued success. Why become a bandit sign volunteer? Now more than ever do we need the spirit of volunteer community service. I'm going to repeat that because it's so important. Now more than ever do we need the spirit of volunteer community service. We've learned over the years that many hands make light work. Again, we've learned over the years that many hands make light work. As municipalities and local authorities, we have a mission to create a space for individuals to express their altruism. Our priority is to invest in blighted areas more strategically. No task is too small, specifically, especially the confiscation of illegally placed bandit signs. What is the Volunteer Bandit Sign Removal Program? The Volunteer Bandit Sign Removal Program, or Sign Busters as we like to call it, is an effective sign removal program hired by Houstonian volunteers just like yourself. This one-of-a-kind sign removal program was designed to improve not only the aesthetics of a neighborhood, but execute the beginning of neighborhood regeneration. The Volunteer Bandit Sign Removal Program, or Sign Busters, is an effective sign removal program hired by Houstonian volunteers like yourself. This one-of-a-kind sign removal program was designated or was designed to improve not only the aesthetics of a neighborhood, but execute the beginning of a neighborhood regeneration. And it starts with you. There are some points to remember. The Inspections and Public Service Division is hard at work addressing neighborhood code violations. However, it's volunteers that serve as the glue that keeps the community together. Service is a chain reaction. Tell all your family, neighbors about our program and how you're making a difference. Show others that it can be done and it can be very effective. The change that you're promoting is generational. By having a clean and safe neighborhood, you're extending the longevity of your neighborhood, allowing future families to see the beauty, not blight. That's so important. The change that you're promoting, you're promoting, is generational. By having a clean and safe neighborhood, excuse me, you're extending the longevity of your neighborhood, allowing future families to see the beauty, not blight. Isn't that amazing? The change that you're promoting is generational. Right here, it starts with you. By having a clean and safe neighborhood, you're extending the longevity of your neighborhood and allowing future families to see the beauty and not the blight of your neighborhood. More people, more impact. Most people are familiar with the concept of volunteering, but few recognize the full power of volunteerism. Volunteerism enables contribution by generating well-being for both individuals and communities. Volunteerism, and I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to repeat a couple things because I think it's so important that you always remember that volunteerism enables contribution by generating well-being for both individuals and communities. It helps everybody. It helps the individual as well as your neighborhood and your community. What are bandit signs? Bandit signs are usually lightweight, inexpensive advertising signs, typically made from paper, cardboard, or corrugated plastic that are illegally placed on public property or in the right-of-way. This includes esplanades, areas between the sidewalks and curb, overpasses, utility posts, light standards, and traffic signal boxes. This is a great example. As you see the pictures below, you'll see bandit signs on light poles. You'll see them on the esplanade, on the right-of-way. You'll see them on, they even have it on regular, at the bottom of the light poles or the traffic lights. What are bandit signs? For our purposes, a bandit sign is a colloquial term for an illegal sign placed on a road right-of-way. Transportation Code 393, a sign is an outdoor sign, display, light, device, figure, painting, drawing, message, plaque, poster, or other thing the sign intended or used to advertise or inform. Section 393.001 of the Texas Transportation Code. A person may not place a sign on the right-of-way of a public road unless the placement of that sign is authorized by state law, Section 393.002 of the Texas Transportation Code. Why are bandit signs dangerous? So what? Guys, I know a lot of you are saying it's just a sign. They can cause accidents, clutter the roads and right-of-ways, and also adds to the broken windows theory, which encourages further crime and disorder. It's also linked to criminal and predatory activity. Where are bandit signs located? On medians and islands, on utility poles and trees, on traffic boxes and signs, on public property next to the roadway, such as libraries, schools, and park entrances. This is a great example of where 9 times out of 10, you'll see or you will be able to identify a bandit sign. If you look on your left-hand side, there's a sidewalk as well as the road and a curb. The right-of-way is between the curb and the sidewalk. And you'll usually see on the right-of-way stop signs. So they'll usually put those the bandit signs right in the right-of-way or in the esplanades. Now, one of the difference about the esplanades is a lot of the civic clubs or super neighborhoods put the day they have their monthly meeting as well as the date that heavy trash comes out, just to educate their neighborhood. But those signs, do not remove them and don't touch them, because 9 times out of 10, they'll be removed within a day or so. But if you see any other signs for rent, for sale, advertising on the esplanades, please remove them. Also, if there is no sidewalks, but there's a curbside, you will always see 10 feet from the curb. That's a right-of-way. So a lot of times, if you don't see a sidewalk, and there's a curb, or even if there's not a curb, maybe a ditch, you will see a lot of for sale bandit signs on that property. And if you see those, remove them. But if they're in an unsafe situation or in an unsafe area, just call 311, and one of our code enforcement officers will go out there and remove it. Signs on the light post. This is a great example. Sell your house fast in 2 weeks or less. And they usually have their phone number. So there if it's safe for you to remove that sign, please remove that bandit sign. If it is not safe for you to remove that bandit sign, please make sure to call 311, and one of our certified code enforcement officers will go out there and remove the bandit sign. Also, signs on the right of way. As you see, there's not a sidewalk. It's between from curb to curb. That is a right of way. You have for sale, for rent, electricity, for sale, or as well as, hey, we're hiring jobs, different type of advertising. These are bandit signs. Please remove them if it's safe for you to remove them. If it's in an unsafe area, please make sure to call 311, and one of our certified code enforcement officers will go out there and remove the bandit signs. What is a right of way? Public right-of-ways vary from road to road. In the unincorporated area, the county road law specified if a road is a county road, then it's a question of how much of the adjoining land is public right-of-way. So 9 times out of 10, if you see a sidewalk, the right-of-way is between the sidewalk and the curb. If there's not a sidewalk and you see a curb, then it's 10 feet from the curb. Now, there might not even be a curb at times, and you'll see a ditch or an esplanade, then that's when that's also a public right of way. Again, how do you know if sign is illegal or not? The 1, 2, 3 approach. 1, is it on an esplanade? Is it on a traffic control device or utility fixtures? Is it along the roadside, like on a ditch, on the curb line? Is it on telephone pole, distance from the center of the road, 10 feet, from the curb line? That 9 times out of 10, that's property, public property. So make sure you remove it as long as safe enough for you to remove it. Again, if it's not safe for you to remove the bandit sign, please make sure to go ahead and call 311, and we'll have a certified code enforcement officer go out there and remove the bandit sign. Special cases and issues. Now, this is so important for you to remember. Special cases and issues. What are they? Political signs or property signs or liability, civil and criminal concerns. Now, we have 2 special cases, political signs and property rights. So let's get to that. Sign value and property rights. Under current state law, signs worth 25 or more in value require the city to take notification steps. So that's when you see a sign that is illegally placed and its value is $25 or more, you need to call 311, and we'll send a certified code enforcement officer to make an inspection, and they will notify the property owner, take the proper notification steps. Volunteers should never not pick up a sign that was placed in the right of way by a property owner. So let's say someone is having a garage sale, and then the bandit sign, and you call it a bandit sign, is in front of the property right on the right of way. Please do not remove any of those bandit signs, garage sales, selling home, things like that in front of a private property. Because if you see that, please make sure you call 311, and one of our certified code enforcement officers will go out there and make an investigation. These are great examples of property rights. As you'll see, this property owner is having a garage sale on the front top red photo, and also on the bottom, you'll see a business leader that is selling, using the right of way for advertising. If you feel like it's illegally placed any of the advertisings or the bandit sign or the advertising is placed, please make sure to call 311 and we will have a certified code enforcement officer go out there and make an inspection. So what you see in front of you, please do not remove any of those signs. Make sure when it's garage sale, for sale, or any sign that's placed in front of a homeowner, or any signs that are placed in front of a business for advertising, please do not remove. Make sure if you feel like they are in violation, please make sure to call 311 and we'll send a certified code enforcement officer to go out there and investigate your concern. And if they need to remove it, they will remove it. But 9 times out of 10, they will send a notification or will start the notification process. What are they? Political signs on the right of way. We see them all the time. Usually when it's time for you to go vote, you'll see political signs on the right of way. Please make sure you don't remove any political signs at all. If you see any political signs and you feel like they're in violation, please make sure to call 311 and we will send a certified code enforcement officer that will go out there and make an investigation. Again, please do not remove bandit signs or any political signs on the right of way that you feel like they are in violation. If you feel like a political sign is in violation, please make sure to call 311 and a certified code enforcement officer will go out there and make an investigation. Political signs. We're going to reiterate because there's a couple of things we want to make sure you understand that you are not to remove. Exactly. The one is signs that are placed in front of a private property or signs that are used for advertising by business or for education. Please make sure that you do not remove any signs that are in front of a private property or in front of a business. Political signs may not be placed adjacent to early voting. And this is just to educate you what they should not do. So if you see something like this, you are still not able to remove them. You are to call 311 and one of our certified code enforcement officers will go out there and make an investigation. Campaign signs may not be placed adjacent to early voting locations prior to the beginning of early voting for both the election and the runoff election. Campaign signs may not be placed adjacent to polling places not used for early voting prior to the day before election day for both the election and the runoff election. But please, if you see any political signs that are in violation, please call 311. Do not remove the political signs. Please call 311 and one of our certified code enforcement officers will go out there and make an investigation. This is a great example, and we see them all the time, especially when it's an election or a runoff. Please do not remove or talk to anyone or discuss with anyone about any political signs or any signs that are put in front of private property or signs that are placed in front of a business. Those you need to call 311 and let our certified code enforcement officer go out there and make an investigation. Legal handouts. You should have Chapter 393 of the Texas Transportation Codes. You should have City of Houston Municipal Code Section 2839. Now, none of these are giving you the authority to be a bandit sign volunteer. Just letting you know, you are just a volunteer. And that's the most important thing. You volunteer to go out and clean up properties. You're volunteering to remove bandit signs. Again, you'll have the handouts in front of you. Please make sure you get educated on Texas Transportation Code 393 and the City of Houston Code Municipal Code Section 28 through 39. And again, this is the general sign regulation of City of Houston Municipal Code Section 28 through 39. Can citations be issued? Not by a volunteer bandit sign volunteer. Again, citations cannot be issued by a bandit sign volunteer. The only ones that can issue a citation is a certified code enforcement officer that is certified by the state of Texas Health Department. So please make sure that you understand that a volunteer, a Bandit Sign volunteer, cannot issue Bandit Sign citations. The only ones that can issue a citation is a certified code enforcement officer that is certified by the state of Texas. The PPRs of removing bandit signs. First, you pull signs posted on utility poles, you pick up signs placed on the right of way, and you remove and discard of all illegally placed bandit signs. People pulling together to remove blight. I love that. Bandit sign volunteers. Role number 1, removal of bandit signs. You must be trained and authorized by the City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods in order to confiscate signs as a volunteer. May discard small signs of less than $25 in value without notice. Employees are responsible for any other bandit signs or any type of sign that is $25 or more. Gather evidence for civil gather evidence for demands and civil lawsuits. Now let me go over your roles. Is to remove bandit signs. Number 1, you must be trained and authorized by the City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods in order to confiscate signs as a volunteer. And that's what you're doing today. You may discard small signs of less than $25 in value without any notice. So if there's a sign that's $25 or more, you call 311 and one of our certified code enforcement officers will go out there and remove the sign and start the notification process. Now, this is so important because this is helping us in gathering evidence for demands and civil lawsuits. Let's say that we have a repeat offender and you as a bandit sign volunteer are documenting on your bandit sign documentation report where you removed your bandit sign, what did it say on that bandit sign, and if this is a repeat offender or not. Do not remove signs from private property, value with $25 or more, from polling locations during elections. Now, when we say private property, we're not just talking about single family residents. We're talking about businesses also. So if you see a sign in front of a single family, a home, or an apartment complex or a business, please do not remove it. Now, if you feel like it's in violation, please make sure to call 311 and one of our certified code enforcement officers will go out there and make an investigation. If they determine that it is in violation, then the notification process will start. Also, you cannot remove a sign that is $25 or larger, and also cannot remove signs that are political signs from polling locations during elections. Volunteers will be, I know it says here maybe, but I assure you, you will be dismissed for criminal activities such as trespassing, bribery, assault, defacing property, illegally carrying a weapon, for verbal or physical threats, impersonating a police officer, or misrepresenting your role. Because you're only a volunteer. That's it. You're not a police officer and you're not a code enforcement officer. Performing under the influence of drugs or alcohol. So if you are taking drugs or you're drinking alcohol, you're not allowed to be a bandit sign volunteer. Volunteers, again, it says may, but I assure you, you will be dismissed for criminal activity such as trespassing, bribery, assault, defacing property, illegally carrying a weapon. If you're impersonating a police officer or misrepresenting your role, verbal or physical threats, or performing under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Caution, Now, these are the crimes that the city of Houston would not represent. Our legal attorneys will not represent you in any type of crime that you conduct as if you are a Bandit Sign volunteer. Criminal trespassing, theft, criminal mischief, assault, offensive physical contact, cause bodily injury, threaten with imminent bodily injury. A city attorney will not defend any volunteers in criminal proceedings at all if you conducted a crime. Volunteer limitations. Even if you're licensed, you may not possess or carry weapons while serving as a Bandit Sign volunteer. We're not peace officers, and you must never present yourself as a police officer. Do not involve in police matters, cannot enforce any civil, traffic, or criminal laws. You may reside outside of Houston, but you are only allowed to be a Bandit Sign volunteer within the city of Houston limits. And also, you're not compensated. That's why you're called a volunteer. Safety tips. Make sure to wear gloves and reflective vests during sign removal. Legally park your vehicle in a safe place. Do not block the road. So if you feel like a bandit sign is in an unsafe place, leave it alone. Call 311 and one of our certified code enforcement officers will go out there and investigate it and start the investigation process. Do not go onto private property. If you see a bandit sign, you feel like it's on private property, do not touch it. Make sure to call 311 and we will have our certified code enforcement officers go out there and make an investigation. Work facing traffic. Never turn your back to oncoming cars. Just a lot of times, just common sense. If it feels like it's unsafe, it's unsafe. Don't double think yourself. Just call 311 and we'll send one of our certified code enforcement officers out there to make an investigation. Avoid using headsets, which can prevent you from hearing oncoming traffic. Do not remove signs in high traffic areas. Again, if you feel like it's in a high traffic, unsafe area, please make sure to call 311 and we'll have one of our certified code enforcement officers go out there and investigate your concern. Only remove signs in daylight hours, not at night. Now, I'm going to reiterate this. Do not work at night. We only work during daylight hours. So please, do not go out there in the middle of the night or in the dusk when it's getting dark and start removing bandit signs. You're not allowed to remove bandit signs at night or dusk. We only work during the daylight hours. Work in pairs whenever possible. If not, at least let someone know where you're going and where you're removing the signs. Avoid verbal confrontation. If a confrontation occurs, leave the area and retreat to a safe location. And make sure to call 911. Please do not start a verbal confrontation and do not get involved in a verbal confrontation. If a verbal confrontation starts, please get in your car, remove yourself from that area, get to a safe position and call 911. This is the Bandit Sign volunteer documentation form. Every time you remove a bandit sign, please make sure you document the date, your name, location of where the bandit sign was removed. And if you happen to know the council district, put the council district. If you don't, do not worry. And any information that is on that bandit sign that might help our code enforcement officers when they're going at, and we have repeat offenders. Once you complete your bandit sign documentation form, please email it to me, Myra Hippolyte at myra.hippolyte@houstontx.gov. Also, now, just like you register to become a Bandit Sign volunteer, you also register in the Houston Volunteer Houston mobile app every time you go out and you're becoming a Bandit Sign volunteer. So when you're removing bandit signs, make sure you document it on the Volunteer Houston mobile app, so then you will get credit for all your volunteer time. Where to dispose bandit signs? Now, one of the biggest things that people say, oh, I'm going to throw it in my trash. Well, the only problem is 9 times out of 10, when you have bandit signs, you have the sign itself as well as the metal holder that holds the bandit signs. And so you need to remove the bandit sign, the sign from the holder, and then you can use that holder for anything else that you want. But the sign itself is usually plastic, so you can put it in your trash. Or you can get all your bandit signs and go to the Solid Waste North Main Neighborhood Depository or Recycling Center at 9003 North Main, Houston, Texas 77002. Now, when you're doing that, they have two trash containers. One is for the sign itself, and then one is for the metal containers. So make sure you divide those two and dispense of them where they're supposed to be dispensed. This is a great example of where it's at. So if you go to Google and you put 9003 North Main, Houston, Texas 77002, it should take you exactly where it's at in North Main. Bandit sign removal assessment. Once you've taken this bandit sign training, you will get an assessment. You probably have the assessment with you already. The number one question is, could we remove this sign? Yes or no. Answer yes or no. The second question is, do we remove it? Now, first question is, could we remove it? Yes or no. Second question is, do we actually remove it? Yes or no. Or do we refer to the City of Houston Department of Neighborhood? Yes or no. So number one question is, could we remove it? Now, just to give you an example, if it's a political sign, could we remove it? No. Do we remove it? No. Do we refer to the City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods? Yes. Question two, let's say you have a private property and they have a garage sale sign. Could we remove it? No. Do we remove it? No. Do we refer to City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods? Yes, you refer it by calling 311. It's an easy volunteer assessment. We just want to make sure that you understand what you can and what you can't do as a volunteer, bandit sign volunteer. Now, remember, you're only a volunteer and you're choosing to be a volunteer, just like when we do neighborhood cleanups. In neighborhood cleanups, we're picking up trash, we're cutting weeds, and you're just not getting compensated. You're just being a volunteer. Bandit sign volunteer waiver and release page. We'll need for you to sign this form, put your date of birth and print your name and the date you signed this form, saying that you agree that the City of Houston, you're not holding the City of Houston accountable if you get hurt, or if you're not getting compensated by the City of Houston. We're not offering you anything. You're just a volunteer. You're just giving your time because you want to give your time, and you're not a City of Houston employee. You're not hired by the City of Houston. And if anything happens to you while you're out being a volunteer, you're not holding the City of Houston accountable for anything. So please make sure you sign this form. If you don't sign this form, that lets us know that you're not interested in being a bandit sign volunteer, and we understand that also. You can choose if you want to be a bandit sign volunteer or not. That's why you're called a volunteer, because you're given of your free time. Great work starts with you. The City of Houston is a large city, and the Department of Neighborhoods we can only do so much. Creating the volunteer bandit sign program allows concerned citizens like yourself to fight blight along with us. Through your participation, we can cover more ground than ever before. We can't do this by ourselves. So we're very grateful for you to taking time out of your busy schedule to assist in being a volunteer bandit sign. Now, we've already discussed the process, documentation, disposing of bandit signs, and quiz. And it's called a quiz, but I call it an assessment. And when it says legal authority, you can choose to be a Bandit Sign or a Bandit Sign volunteer because you're taking time out of your busy schedule to give back to the Houston community. So there's no legal authority, just like if you were a volunteer doing anything else, you're just taking time out of your busy schedule. You're not compensated. And if anything happens to you while you're being a Bandit Sign volunteer, you're not holding the city of Houston liable. Now, also, the process is you should email me the following information: a completed assessment. Once you complete your assessment, and also you need to email me the signed volunteer waiver. After I receive the completed assessment and the signed volunteer waiver, then I'll send you a Bandit Sign volunteer training certificate. Now that training certificate is only good for 1 year. So every year you will have to see me again. Yay! And we will have to go through this training every year. Now, one of the things that we're also working on is scheduling a Bandit Sign neighborhood cleanup. So I will send you an email once you've completed this and you've completed your assessment and you emailed me the signed volunteer waiver. I'll send you an email as letting you know when we're going to have a neighborhood Bandit Sign volunteer cleanup. Now, this is one way of us getting back together and meeting in person. And if you have any questions, any concerns, we can meet in person and go through the process, and at the same time give back to that whatever neighborhood we're in and remove some Bandit Signs. Now, this is the end of the Bandit Sign volunteer training program. Guys, we know that you're taking time out of your busy schedule. And as always, we're very grateful for all of our volunteers. So if you ever get into a situation that you see a Bandit Sign that is $25 or more, it's on private property, it's a political sign, or it's on in front of a business, please make sure to call 311. And one of our certified code enforcement officers will go out there and make an investigation. Always know that you're not alone. We're in it together. And always remember that if you have any questions, to call me, Myra Hippolyte, at 832-394-0701, or send me an email at Myra, MAYRA, .Hippolyte, HYPOLITE, at HoustonTX.gov. We're very grateful that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to give back to your community and to your neighborhood. Always remember that if you have any questions, please make sure to call me or email me at myra.hippolyte@HoustonTX.gov.